Well, friends, it's Monday, and on the docket today is the case of the murder of Judge Kevin Mullins, the Kentucky judge who was murdered in his chambers by none other than his bailiff, former bailiff, and sheriff, Mickey Steins. You know, about a year ago, I had on this very program a guest who said, if there's one, there's 30. And I think in Judge Mullins' case, with more and more people coming out of the woodwork with accusations of impropriety, when there's one, there's 300. Stick with me. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back, my friend. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Gavin. This is another true crime conversation here on my channel, a channel where we like to cut through the fluff and the sensationalism in true crime and get down to the nitty-gritty. But I'm telling you, this case makes it hard. There is so much sensationalism around this case. But you know what there also is? There is also really good reporting. And this time, Brian Entin has done some very good reporting, and that's not surprising, right? Brian Entin does very good reporting wherever he goes, and we're going to watch about, what is it, about, it's about an 8.5 minute clip of an interview that he did. He published to YouTube today. I put a link in, I hope I put a link in the description down below. If I haven't, I will. But before we get into that, let's just talk a little bit about this case, okay? Back in September, Judge Kevin Mullins, here's a photo of him here, was shot to death by Sean Mickey Steins. He did it in the judge's chambers on video, and I think we've done 43, 44, 45 videos on this case because there's just so much that comes out. If you have not seen everything, go over to my website. Let me see if I got the website up. Yeah, if you go over to the website. Oh, you know what? I don't think I have a case page for Judge Mullins. I need to do that. Yeah, I don't. I don't have a case page for Judge Mullins, but there's tons of awesome case pages over there. But basically, this is what happened, just as a very quick summary, okay? This is Mickey Steins right here. He had a deputy sheriff, a guy named Ben Fields. Ben Fields, while working for the sheriff, was also the bailiff of the Letcher County, Kentucky District Court. Now, nothing about that was improper. Mickey Steins was a sheriff and was Judge Mullins' bailiff for a long time. But what started to be improper, what became improper is that this guy, Ben Fields, was the guy that was in charge of the ankle monitors for people in the jail, in Letcher County jail, which is in the courthouse basement here. If they got on some type of house arrest or, probation or whatever that required these ankle monitors for monitoring their location, Mr. Fields was the guy that would put on the monitors and would, I guess, basically oversee that system. Now, Mr. Fields, and it kind of feels like it wasn't, it totally feels like it wasn't just him. I mean, it was Mickey Steins before him who was the ankle monitor guy. But Mr. Fields started talking to the women inside the Letcher County jail as he was putting on their ankle monitors. He was saying, we could make it easy on you, and started to convince these women. And it was well known within the jail that if you traded sexual favors, you would get favorable treatment on the monitor program. In some cases, he would just give them the monitor to carry around in their purse or whatever. Anyway, Mr. Fields was eventually There were two women, one woman named Sabrina Adkins, one woman named Jennifer Hill, and Ms. Hill has sadly passed. Jennifer Adkins is still around and part of this, but she filed a federal lawsuit against Mr. Fields and against Mickey Steins as the sheriff, saying that he should have known what Mr. Fields was doing. Basically, he was essaying them, right? He was doing more terrible things. If they would not do what it was that he wanted, he would report them as absconders, and it would make it worse for them. So, I mean, this was a very corrupt, very gross, disgusting system going on down in Letcher County. Well, anyway, when Sabrina Adkins and Jennifer Hill filed their lawsuit, Mickey Steins was deposed. He was deposed on a Monday, and then the following Thursday, his lawyers say, and he has said through his lawyers, that he was worried about his wife and daughter's safety. He full on goes in and kills the judge. Okay, and we've covered this. You can see my old videos on it. You can see all the stuff that I've done on this case, right? But 9 shots he put into the judge. Kevin Mullins is now deceased. Okay, so that brings us to, it brings us to so much, but that's the background on the case. Oh, by the way, I should tell you guys, tell me where you're from in the chat. I want to see where everybody is from. Check in, put a GF in your comment. Let me see where you're from, okay? All right, now that we've got that backgrounder out of the way, let's talk about Judge Mullins, okay? I'm going to pause this. I just want to, this picture, no, let's just stay on this one. Okay. If you believe what several women have said, Judge Mullins, even back when he was working in the prosecutor's office, when he was a lowly lawyer, he was already kind of engaging, according to these women, in this kind of behavior. Okay, so I guess what has happened since, since Judge Mullins has died, there have been multiple women, some that have gone public, some that have come directly to me, some that have talked to Elizabeth Jones and others. They are saying, no, this is what Kevin Mullins did. He was involved in this from the very beginning. It wasn't just Ben Fields. In fact, Sabrina Adkins, in her proffer to the Kentucky State Attorney General's investigator, she said she had seen a video. She said she had seen a video of Judge Mullins having sex with a woman in his chambers. And if you guys will remember, Lila Steins, we went over this video. Let me just play this real quick. Let me go to the beginning here. I won't play the whole thing. It's only a minute long, but I won't play the whole thing. Listen to what Lila Stein says. She's the daughter of Mickey Steins.
We believe there are some inappropriate videos, text messages, and other pieces of evidence that could really help my dad.
Okay, so this is what she's talking about, I believe. She's talking about the same thing that Sabrina Adkins is saying. Same thing that other women have told me, that they have seen a video or videos of Kevin Mullins having sex in his chambers with women who were in a position of lesser power, which makes it institutional essay, right? Okay. That brings us to Brian Entin. Let's see, let me just check in on you guys, see what you're saying real quick. We got New Jersey in the house. Awesome. Zach is from New Jersey. Devin in the UK. Very cool. We got Las Vegas in the house. Central Kentucky, striving for Titus II. Grew up in Letcher County. We got Georgia. We got North Palm Beach, Florida. Jacksonville, Florida. Colorado, North Carolina. Real quick. Raymond Godfrey says, defense attorney, 15 years in North Carolina, and my gut tells me Steins walks due to multiple hung juries. I wonder. I wonder. Your gut is going to tell you better than my gut will. Anytime I cover a case, I have no idea what the jury's going to do. Great comment. Boston, Mass. From Georgia, living in Indiana. Let's see. Virginia, North Carolina. Let's see. Louisville. Now in Maryville, Tennessee. In Kokomo, Indiana. Or 27 years in Kokomo. Erie, PA, you are my fellow Western Pennsylvanian. Floyd County, Kentucky. We got some Kentuckians with us tonight. North Carolina. Kel, again, I'm calling shenanigans on that name, okay? You told me that it's real, but Wangaratta, Victoria, Australia, you reckon I made that up. There is a tiny community near us called Karakara. I've done workshops there. Well, it better be a workshop on how to pronounce that name, Kel. That's funny. Texas, Virginia, Ohio, Delaware, Texas. Very cool. Thank you guys for joining. I'm glad that so many of you are here in the chat with me. Okay, so this brings us now over to this video from Brian Entin. And then this is the sum total of the content that I want to go over with you guys. It's about 8.5 minutes long, but I would like to hear your take on things. And before I do, let me tell you, when I shared this, I mean, I saw it before Elizabeth. Normally she sees stuff before me. But when I shared it with Elizabeth Jones from Hillbilly Crime earlier today, she said, I just watched it all. I believed her every word. That was a great interview. And I think later on this week, I'll be joining Elizabeth on her channel to go over this as well. Okie dokie. Let's see what Brian has to say. Let me, because it does some weird things here. Let me just make sure. Here we go.
New interview with a woman named Jamie Rayburn. She, again, lived in Letcher County. She was in and out of jail along with many others in her family, and she talks about their history with the judge and also with the sheriff. Like, how did you first meet?
So her name is Jamie Rayburn. She's putting her face out there, which I think is super brave, guys. I think it's amazing. There was another woman who did it too, Ty Adams. That, I mean, these are brave people, in addition to the heroes of Sabrina Adkins and Jennifer Hill. All right.
The judge.
So my first encounter was when I was a juvenile, which it wasn't nothing out of the ordinary because I was put on like a juvenile probation and then I went to juvie.
This is so funny to me. And I'm sorry to be judgy about this. But I'm kind of judgy about this in my own circle of associations. No, it's just normal. It's very normal. I was a juvenile offender and I went to juvie. Nothing out of the ordinary. I don't think you understand what the ordinary is. And probably it's not your fault.
So then later on in life, when I become of age, I was on drugs and stuff, and I ended up doing some time in jail. And in 2019, I went and decided to get clean and go through the ARC program. And he kind of personally reached out to me within those times, like helping me, telling me he was proud and stuff. But then an indication that kind of alarmed me to know that all the rumors I heard my whole life about him is he invited me to this seminar in March of 2021, a drug seminar while I was in rehab, basically to tell a little bit of like my story. And he was just trying to like, I guess, make me like a poster child. I don't know, but he.
You know, this did strike me. She talks about it just a little bit here. It's not very long where she's talking about this experience, but she's like, but all of the rumors that I had heard, I found out were true when while I was in rehab, Judge Mullins invited me to go to a seminar to hold up as his poster child of success. She had heard the rumors before. I have heard several rumors like this, where women have said, yeah, they were invited to go on the road. Yeah.
He was just trying to share my story and stuff, but he was just very weird during that. Like before, he was just very inappropriate, to me.
Like what
Um,
happened? Was he calling you?
he
Yeah.
he just told me like if I ever needed anything, just to come to his chambers. Like if I ever got in trouble, that I could come and talk to him. But like us women know what that means. You know what I'm saying? And he just made me feel very uncomfortable. He just looked at me like a dog. But most of
Hey, listen, sweetie, if you're ever in trouble, just come to my chambers. What judge what judge does that? Guys, that is not okay. It's just not okay. If that happened, not okay. I and she's telling the same kind of story that many women have already told. And I feel like, where there's smoke, there's fire. It usually works that way, right? A judge should not be doing that. Hey, if you are ever in trouble, come on over to my chambers. No, that's creepy. That's gross. No, if I'm ever in trouble, I'll be in jail and I will get an attorney. I won't go to the judge's chambers. So yeah, he's just trying to lure her in. This is what I think anyway. Trying to lure her in to take advantage of her, which is institutional SA.
my story is my mom too. That's why I was reaching out, because my mom had a lot. She's no longer here anymore, but my mom had uh the sexual stuff with him and all that.
When you say she's not here, did she pass away or? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
actually, she done a lot of jail time. She was actually a drug addict, but she actually passed away. She didn't even get to come home. The Letcher County jail didn't take care of her at all while she was sick. Um,
She was
but
sent to
like the
jail.
beginning of like her drug, like she used to go have sex with a judge to get out of trouble. I remember she got my dad in some very big trouble. She went and had sex with the judge. When people are on drugs, they're so numb, and people don't like going to jail and stuff. I mean, I'm sure it upset her. From all the drugs and all the abuse and trauma that my mom went through, like she was not in.
You know what's shocking to me when I listen to these kinds of accounts? And there have been, I mean, I in my little area of Western Pennsylvania, I've been interviewing a lot of people because of a perception and a belief by me that there is this kind of stuff happening in my local jail, one of my local jails. Uh, and I will sit down and I will talk with women and sometimes men who have spent some time in that jail, who have stories to talk about the jail, and they just maybe it's a defense mechanism or something like that, but they just kind of gloss over it. Yeah, so I had sex with him, and it's just, and like you're like sitting there listening, going, "Oh my goodness, you were just R-worded. You were just telling me about the time when a corrections officer SA'd you." And they just tell it like it's just part of what it is. And I think it's because the just sheer quantity of issues that they have throughout their lives, and the amount of times they're taken advantage of and abused, and the number of times that they see others having the same kind of experience, or other people tell them of those kinds of experience, it just becomes part of regular life. And so, she's talking about her own mother being essayed by, I think she means Judge Mullins when she says the judge, over and over and over again, so that she can stay out of jail. And she's just, I mean, obviously she's like, Jamie's a hero here. She's talking to Brian Entin and, telling him what happened. But it's just shocking to me, or it is maybe not shocking. It deeply affects me when I hear stories like this just spoken so matter-of-factly, so nonchalantly. It's just, yeah. All right, let me continue.
The right state of mind at all. Um, she was very traumatized from a lot of stuff that has been done to her. I do know that. My grandparents actually raised me, so like my mom was in and out of my life a lot too when I was younger.
How well known was it that, if you had sex with the judge, you could get out of things?
Very well known. Like every girl, like everybody knows that. Even with lawyers too. It's not just the judges. It's like a lot of people that's done this for years.
I mean, just pause it there again. His question was, how well known is it? Yeah, it's just well known. And it makes me wonder, so I think it's probably well known in certain parts of the community, right? Amongst those that are in and out of jail, amongst those that are addicted to drugs, amongst those that are the interface with the the judicial system in the county, it's probably very well known. And that's not a little chunk of the county. That's a lot of people. Um, but amongst the normal people that would never say, "Oh, my life was normal. I went to juvie." Amongst those people, they probably didn't know, or they wouldn't believe it. Because it's very easy to minimize the testimony of people who you don't find credible, because like it or not, as human creatures, we are designed to make judgment calls, and those judgment calls require us to take in facts, weigh the credibility of the witnesses. I'm talking in our everyday life, right? If my teacher says that my son was misbehaving in fourth grade, and I go to my son and say, "Were you misbehaving in fourth grade?" and he kind of does one of these things, "No," then I judge him to not be credible, right? Like, these are things that we do all the time. And unfortunately, I think that many of us outside of the community where so much of this abuse happens, we don't judge the witnesses to be credible. And I think, I don't think that's exactly wrong. Like, I don't think I think that that's a natural thing. But when the evidence starts to pile up, when many people start to say the exact same thing, you can't ignore that. So yeah, it was well known, I'm sure, within the circles of the people who had been victims and who would be victims. Everybody else, they probably just, I don't think they all just ignored it. I think many of them just didn't believe it.
Like it's been over decades that this stuff has really been going on. With my memo, yes, because like I know this sounds weird and stuff. I was needing to get an expungement, and my memo was really trying to put me up to go see Judge Mullins just to get me
I think when she says mama, she's talking about her grandmother.
out of my expungement. But families know that stuff too. I don't know if all families do that with their kids, but I mean, like my mama was trying to get me just so I could, have a better life and stuff. Like families are aware of this stuff now. I don't know if they've ever, put them up to do stuff like that, but from my personal experience, like, yeah,
What would your mama say?
she'd just be like, "Oh, you just need to go see Kevin Mullins, and he'll fix it for you. You just need to go down there and see him." And stuff. Like she knew I didn't want to go, and she knew that I could go. I really try to keep, like, I'm only 29. I've been in a lot, like I've lived a hard life, and I really try to not do bad anymore. So that's kind of why I never, like, after rehab and all that, like that's why I never really went back, because I don't really want to live like that no more.
With the drugs, like so many people, it seems like in that area have had issues with drugs. Like, how do you describe it? Like, how do people get sucked in?
It's a very small area. There isn't nothing to do. You really have to have an education to even have any money there. You know, the coal mines used to be like a lot of income for people back in the day. But I think people get sucked into it because there's nothing to do. It's very small. And, you know, generational curses, families do it. You know, moms and dads there do drugs with their kids there. It's just it's crazy. So I just think that it's just a lot of nothing to do there. Families just not knowing any better to do, just nothing to do there.
What do you mean by general?
You know, this is the kind of thing that I've heard this argument a lot before. The first part of my life was spent in a town of 200. And granted, I was a little kid. I wasn't like a teenager trying to find something to do. Though I would go back in the summers and in the you know, in over Christmas break and stuff like that. I don't buy the whole there's nothing to do in a small place. I live in a small place now. It's not much bigger than Letcher County, and there's plenty to do. There's plenty to do besides drinking and doing drugs. I think what happens is that it spreads like a disease. You know, when I was looking at the Amanda Winkowski case, you know, this is a girl that got addicted to heroin and started engaging in all of the different crimes that are required in order to feed that addiction. It was somebody gave her a pill at a party. And the thing about it is once you're in, you're in. And it only takes once with that stuff. So I think it spreads almost exponentially, right? So one person gets in and they get two people in, and each of them get two people in. You know, it just spreads like wildfire. And the problem with it is that it is an addiction, that it's so hard to kick once you are addicted, and that addiction only requires one experience. So I don't think it really is you have nothing to do. I think it's that there's peer pressure involved. I think there's a real, I mean, we're not going to solve the problems of the world here, but I just think that one person, you know, in those coal mining towns, people were prescribed these medicines to deal with their pain, and being told that it was non-addictive, so you could take as much as you want. Doctors would up the prescriptions. I mean, guys, watch Dope Sick, right? That's a perfect, you know, it's a fictionalized, true story, basically, right? So a lot of these coal mining towns in Appalachia, they were sold a bill of goods from their doctors. They got addicted. They start doing drugs in front of their families, in front of their kids, and pretty soon it's just like dominoes. So yeah, I respect what she's saying. I appreciate that she is saying it. I don't think it's that there's nothing to do. I think that it's just an epidemic that rolls through and catches so many people in that epidemic.
Generational curses.
I just feel like, so I'm really big in my faith. I'm not going to say like I'm a Christian. I am a Christian, but I have a bigger relationship with God than whatever. So I just think that there's a lot of generational curses there. You know, a lot of my story, my mom and dad both done drugs with me. They weren't very motherly or fatherly to me. So that's a lot of what happens back there. I just think that it just goes back, and I just think my generation is cursed a little bit. I know that sounds crazy, but that stuff is real.
So people actually do drugs with their parents.
Yes.
You did that.
Yes.
I guess it's hard to know right from wrong then if you're doing it with your, you know.
That is just so hurtful to even think about. It's just so hurtful to even think about. I mean, again, and this is not to explain it away, but I guess when you're in, just rather than explaining it away, I'm just trying to understand it, right? I guess when you're in the throes of that sickness, yeah, I think your ethics, your morals kind of have to take a back seat to your need, right? Your need for the next high. But yeah, talk about, like, sorry, I keep going back to Amanda Winkowski, but when I talked to Amanda Winkowski's former boyfriend, and he was the one who gave her her first pill, and I was able to talk to him about it, right? He told me all about it, said it still keeps him up at night, that he is the person that got her addicted. Can you imagine doing that to your own child? Wow.
Yeah, like, well, I grew up seeing my mom and dad do it my whole life, so I was like, well, if my mom and dad's doing that, well, it's okay for me to do it. My mama and papa did raise me right. Like, my mama and papa were very successful. They raised me with right morals, but it didn't.
Sort of. I mean, you just told us that your mama told you go down to see Kevin Mullins. Basically, she was saying, go have sex with Kevin Mullins. Your problems will go away. Did your grandparents have great morals? I don't know. Exhibit A is not convincing me that they did.
Fill the void of them being my mom and dad. So it made me very rebellious. And then I thought that, I started doing drugs when I was 16. That's when my grandmother let me start kind of having a relationship with my mom, because she knew that it was hard on me all these years without her. And
so her grandma goes, you've had a hard time not having a relationship with your mom. Let's let you have a relationship with your mom. Boom, she's doing drugs. Okay, that's exhibit B. I'm sorry. That's exhibit B on Mama.
Started doing drugs with her because I thought, well, maybe she might love me now. I don't know. It's just weird.
What kind of drugs?
At first, it started out like as drinking and weed, and then pills like Xanaxes, pain pills. I got on Suboxone really bad. I did abuse that at first. And then by the time I was 18, meth started coming in the area. And that thank God I didn't get on no fentanyl or anything. I went to rehab before that stuff came there. But weed, it was alcohol, weed, pills, and then meth.
Did you
And then
ever
all of it together.
did you ever know the sheriff? Sheriff Steins?
Yes, Mickey. Yes. He was actually the bailiff for like 20 years in Kevin's court. He was a very good man.
This is another indication. Like, this is the reason that the Bartleys, who are the attorneys for Mickey Steins, this is the reason that the Bartleys want to keep this trial in Letcher County, and probably the exact same reason the prosecution want it out of Letcher County. Did you hear what she said? Yeah, Mickey? Yeah, I knew him. He was the bailiff for forever. And yeah, he's a good man.
What did you think when you heard that he shot the judge?
I thought he was losing his mind. I didn't know what was going on.
And that is the end of that segment. Kudos to Brian Entin and to his producers and to his team for getting that interview. That was very, very well done. Very. It's not like he needs my praise, but pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Okay, let's go over to see what you guys are saying. It doesn't look like you're talking too much over here, so this might not last very long. Kel says, I've noticed this way of glossing over things is common for people who've suffered long-term abuse. It's a dissociative thing, protection. Yeah, maybe that's all it is. Maybe it's just that they don't want to think about it. We'll just move along, get our minds off of it, right? And this is so interesting. This case is so fascinating because Kevin Mullins is the victim of a murder. He was shot and killed on camera by Mickey Steins. Also, it appears that he's kind of the boogeyman, that he is the guy that has been victimizing, I think, exclusively women, but what do I know, for years and years and years. That makes him the perp, right? The victim is also the perp. So crazy. Zach. Hey, Zach, it is good to see you. Says, been a while since I caught a live. Busy boy. Very happy to see you. I haven't let this case go. Evil needs to be exposed. Thank you, Zach. Yeah, I'm not going to let this one go. Awake Girly. Gavin, where are the high-profile lawyers like Gloria Allred to come in and represent these women? This runs deep. Thanks for covering this. What a terrific question. Let me tell you the cynical answer. I don't have a cynic cap. I have a skeptical cap behind me. You guys see that beautiful skeptical hat right there, that bowler? This is my cynic hat, okay? High-profile and powerful lawyers like Gloria Allred take cases because it raises their profile and makes them more powerful, not primarily because they care about their client. I think they do care about their clients. I mean, they're not automatons, but primarily they do it to raise their profile and increase their power. I think that's the cynic in me. Okay. Not just Gloria Allred, but high power attorneys like her, for sure. If this case made it to prime time network television, I guarantee you we would see Gloria Allred sitting next to Sabrina Atkins or this woman Jamie here. I guarantee you. But because it's only court TV and law and crime and YouTube, they're not around. They're not around. Hey, there was a question about expungement. TLC Carol, do you guys know what expungement of a charge is? Yeah, expungement means basically that it never happened. You have no more criminal record. It's expunged. It is deleted. It is extricated and destroyed from the record, as if you had never committed the crime and been convicted in the first place. And it's a good tool for prosecutors to use for, first-time offenders and stuff like that. It's good. Okay, see if there's anything. Striving for Titus too. If you're curious, read about the past few years in the surrounding counties. Yeah, I think all of Appalachia, all coming up into the Rust Belt. I think I live in a town that got hit in the 1990s by a huge drug epidemic and has not bounced back yet. So, I'm fully aware of the kinds of stories that are happening here. I would imagine that they're happening all throughout Appalachia. Let's see if there are a couple of others before we go. Yeah, Mooney, let's not forget, regardless of what the judge did, Mickey didn't have the right to take his life. Of course, 100%, Mooney, and thanks for bringing that up. And that's why I say he's the victim, right? I mean, he was shot dead. No judge, jury, got to see him or see evidence against him. Mickey just, I think, in a paranoid, manic state. I think now it has not been proven true. It has been talked about, but I think he, in a weird manic state, did indeed kill the judge and did indeed, took his life and didn't have the right to do that. And that does make Kevin Mullins a victim. It's just, what's funny is that I haven't heard stories about Mickey yet. So far, all I've heard is that Mickey was a good guy. I mean, we just heard it from Jamie here. Yeah, he's a good guy. He must have lost his mind. Right. So, and is it, we know the defense is going to be like an insanity defense. I'm curious if the kind of one of the components of that will be what Ned Pillersdorf called a time to kill defense, right? Maybe it just made perfect sense in the mind of Mickey Steins And maybe a jury would buy this, that it made sense in Mickey Stein's mind that that it was a time to kill. That's, I don't know. Mooney. Great comment. Love it. Mooney's one of our OGs and one of our amazing moderators, by the way. Reflections with Kimberly agrees with me. Also asks, so there's no dirt at all on Mickey. Not that I have found or that anybody has brought to me. Now, having said that, let me come back over to my website for a second, guys. If you go to my support me page, you will see there is a send a package link. You can send a package to P.O. Box 104, Franklin, PA 16323. If you have any dirt, not that I'm like I'm not like TMZ here, but if you have any evidence that you want to anonymously get into the hands of somebody that can do something about it, you can send it there. There's also a Dropbox link in the description below if you don't care about being anonymous. Okay. You can also reach out to me by clicking on this. Oh, while we're here, so many different ways to support me. One of the ways that you can support me is by supporting my moderator, Autumn. If you feel like it, and if you can, please buy her a coffee. But another way you can reach out to me is by clicking this little link up here and going to the contact me page and giving me information. Okay. Now listen, if you give me information, it's got to be actionable information. Okay. You don't have to, but I appreciate it if you would give me your name and number so that we can talk, or one of my volunteers can call, or Elizabeth can call. Okay. Or email or talk to you so that we can help bring this stuff to light. But so far, Mickey's been kind of in the clear. Sherry, though, says the sheriff knew everything that was going on, and that is what Sabrina Atkins and Jennifer Hill allege, right? They allege that that he either knew or should have known what was going on when Ben Fields was essaying these women, and at least one other that we know about, but probably many others. So, very interesting. Let's see if Reflections of Kimberly. I honestly believe all victims who are criminals or not deserve justice. Yeah, I do too. And that's one of those things where, talking about one of the local jails out here in Western Pennsylvania, I reached out to the prison board for comment on some allegations that were being made. And one of the members of the prison board goes, Gavin, listen who's talking to you here. They're convicts. Like, I know they are. It doesn't mean that it's untrue. And if it's true, that person is a victim, right? So, yeah. I don't want to go in circles on this, but I think we're all pretty much on the same page. If we're not, feel free to reach out and set me straight. I don't mind debate. I don't mind disagreement as long as it is not disagreeable. Okay. We will be back tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I do want to give you guys a heads up that I will not be, what day is that? Next Wednesday which is the 19th, is the 26th anniversary of the blessed nuptials of me with my snuggly bear, my one and only, my sweetie pie, Kimberly. And we're going out that night. So I won't be here on Wednesday the 19th, but I should be here all week this week, unless something happens at work that requires me to not be here. But that's the exception, not the rule. Okay. Remember that you can reach out to me, and I wish you would, through ye old website, gavinfish.com. There's a link down in the description below. Also, see this little fishy up in the corner? Click that. Join us over in the tank. And that is where we hang out on Facebook and talk all things true crime. And you know what? Right now, I am looking for more volunteers to admin for the fish tank. So if you have experience being a Facebook group moderator or administrator, I would love you to reach out. How do you do that, you ask? Right here. This little icon right here. And if you are interested in doing that, I would welcome the help. I'll have one of my volunteers reach out to you. Also, while I've got you on the website, remember that we've got true crime articles that are published every day over on CrimeCod. CrimeCod is my true crime news website. You can also sign up for the newsletter. When you go here the first time, it'll pop up, but also you can go down to the bottom of either crimecod.com or gavinfish.com. If you go all the way to the bottom, you can sign up for the CrimeCod newsletter, and I would love it if you would. You join about 3,000 other people that get my, I call it a de vez en cuando newsletter. It doesn't come out every day. It comes out once a week, twice a week, something like that, whenever I have something to say. A couple final comments. Mason's Nana says everyone deserves justice. I agree. Tammy asks, well, hello from North Mississippi. Glad you're here. When is Mickey's trial? It's been over a year. Hopefully these women are getting this all documented. I don't think his trial will be for at least another year, maybe 2. This one's a tough one. They're not going to push for a speedy trial. There's just so much. So we're going to keep our eyes on it. And maybe, I can't remember who said it before, maybe this is one of those that has multiple trials, hung juries. He never gets convicted. It's possible. But we'll keep our finger on the pulse. Look for me on Hillbilly Crime sometime this week. We haven't nailed it down, but we probably will do that in the next couple of days. And with that, guys, I think that's it. I bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.